Good morning, it's Keen again. Today we're doing another video, but this one's a little bit different. It's not a Splatoon video, it's something that I've been planning for a little bit, and I have received a comment or two about it, so today we're going to do it. Scroll up here for a second. We're doing a tier list of all the new Mega Evolutions added in ZA. This will include base game content and DLC content, so right now I'm going to give you an obvious spoiler warning for everything, because if I scroll any further down and you don't know any of that and you don't want to know that, this isn't the video for you. If you do want to hear my thoughts, this is definitely one of those videos that's more listening than it is visual. I will do a thing where I pull up stats when I talk about stats. I'm not going to talk about every single Mega in absolute depth. It'll more so be how I generally feel about them, sort of what abilities I would like to see on them, what I might expect to see on them, talking about the designs, if I like them, why I like them, what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And yeah, I'm just going to talk about all the Megas because, contrary to the fact that I don't know if I have any Pokemon videos uploaded on this channel. Actually, no, I do have a couple of Rampats videos, but those are very, very old. But yeah, I've been playing Pokemon for longer than probably a good amount of my audience has been alive, so let's just put it that way. So there will be a lot to talk about for how I feel about these Pokemon. In terms of ordering, once again, spoiler warning, I'm going to change tabs. You don't want to see why are you still here. So I'm just going to go in the order that we have here. Part of what prompted this is it is something I wanted to do, but I saw yesterday that the official art for a lot of the Megas dropped, and I figured this is pretty much like the time to do that. So we're going to talk about Clefable first, who for some reason has a very, very small art here. So Mega Clefable, I also have this, I'll link the spreadsheet in the description as well. So Mega Clefable is interesting because it is one of the Megas that changes typing. This one gains Flying. Clefable's a weird mon because historically it's been very good, but it's kind of a consequence of it being a Gen 1 normal type formerly, so it learns pretty much every move it could conceivably want, and then getting retyped into Fairy in Gen 6, and then having two of the best abilities in the game being Unaware and Magic Guard to make up for the fact that its stats are pretty subpar at first glance. But they're just good enough to make it work. With the Mega, I really like it aesthetically. It's when it first was described in leaks and I was aware of that, I wasn't really feeling too strongly about it, and even the first maybe like month or so of the game, I wasn't crazy about it, but it's honestly grown on me over time, and I do hope the Mega is decent. But in the case of a mon like Clefable, I do think it might be a case where, depending on the ability, I think the base form of Clefable might be more valuable, but I really do like the aesthetic, since Clefairy, and by extension Clefable, had those little wings on its back, so when it Mega Evolves, a lot of the focus kind of goes into that, and it being able to sort of float itself over the ground, as mentioned by its Dex entry. Aesthetically really cute, usability-wise, don't know if we'll see it a ton. Again, we don't have abilities, but I will say it is a very hard sell, have two of the best abilities in the game, and then potentially lose out on them for something else, and lose an item slot for it, and Flying does add some benefits, but it does also add a weakness to stuff like Stealth Rock. But I will say in the case of a Mega, this is the first Mega Pokemon that has access to Magic Guard, so being able to have your Mega Pokemon come in at full health regardless of any entry hazard or anything, that's pretty sick actually. I do like that. So I wonder if the order is the same on these. Not quite. That's okay, we'll follow this list. So if you're curious about what order I'm doing this in, you can just pull up the page on Bulbapedia, scroll down, skim around if you want to see, oh, what does Keen think of Mega whatever? Then you can look around for that. So Mega Victory Bell is a very goofy guy. I really like the design a lot, actually. I like how bulbous it looks. I like the orange color they picked for the foliage on its head and body. I think it's a really good contrast. It's very silly, which I guess Victory Bell kind of was a silly Pokemon. I mean, by extension, Bellsprout and Weepinbell are very silly, Weepinbell in particular, but I kind of feel like Victory Bell, I never really got that vibe unless I'm thinking about the anime specifically, Gen 1 anime. Then yeah, it's kind of silly, I suppose. Big fan of this one. Statistically, it doesn't actually gain too much bulk, just being like 20 defense, 25 SPDF. And it gains a bunch of offense. What I expect based on Dex entries where this guy is Corrosion, and I think that would be really cool to distinguish it from Venusaur, to have sort of a defensive grass poison type. Well, I say defensive, if you look at the stats spread, you probably wouldn't think, but having access to moves like Strength Sap for longevity and Corrosion Toxic would go pretty stupid, and I think if it does go that route, I think that might explain why it doesn't gain a ton of bulk. Good design. I like it. Very silly. Starmie is one I know that's mixed. I feel like every person I ask about Starmie, they either say they hate it or they think it's hilarious and they love it. I'm personally in the latter camp. I like Starmie. Well, as a kid, Starmie was one of my favorite Pokemon. I just liked this neat starfish. I love starfish, so it's kind of obvious. But it was cool to have this fast water psychic type that learned a ton of coverage moves like Surf, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Blizzard, Thunderbolt, Thunder, Rapid Spin, Recover, Reflect type in later generations. I thought was a cool like niche set to 1v1 Ferrothorn and that kind of thing. So I've always been fond of Starmie. The direction the Mega went in terms of gameplay is very strange because pretty much everyone's in agreement that, oh, huge power, this blah blah blah. I think it'd be pure power, but that doesn't really matter functionality-wise. They're the same, but just for the sake of aesthetics, since Medicham has pure power, they're both psychic types set on. It's the vibe I get. Doesn't really matter, given its BST goes up a lot higher, and this is what they did to the huge power Pokemon in ZA, like Mawile and Medicham. So it is interesting because it barely gains any speed and it gains a bit of bulk, but they functionally made a fast mixed attacking Mega, which is pretty cool because the special move was great. And they did add a bunch of physical moves for it to utilize, that being Flip Turn, Liquidation, Zen Headbutt. Maybe had Zen Headbutt before. No, Bulk Up. That's one of the moves I got. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. It seems very good on paper. Pretty interested to see where that goes. Dragonite, I think, is a very cute design. Okay, I was gonna say, why is that so small? I am fond of it from a design perspective. In terms of gameplay, I'm afraid because Dragonite has historically been an extremely good mod for a very long time. The worst I could say of it was maybe in some of the earlier generations. It feels like in modern gens, Dragonite always be eating something. There's always something that does something useful for him, be it Terrestrialization or Z moves with Supersonic Sky Strike type of thing, getting multi-scale in Gen 6, the Inner Focus buff in Generation 8. It feels like this guy can't go 5 minutes without eating a buff, which is kind of crazy. But, you know, it's been 5 minutes and the buff this time is a Mega. And interestingly, its Mega goes the route of being a special attacker, which isn't really a problem because Dragonite is, again, a Gen 1 Pokemon. You know what that means? It basically learns every move in the game, from physical to special. You know, you have your DD, your E-Speed, your Ice Beam, your Thunderbolt, your Flamethrower, your Fire Blast, your Roost. Anything you could want, this mon probably learns it, realistically. Even before Gen 9 move cuts, this guy had Heal Bell and, you know, Dragon Tail, Hurricane. Anything goes, basically, with this guy. And, you know, just from a pure numbers perspective, this is really bulky. 100 speed is not... Well, I don't want to call it bad. It's obviously, like, good. In a modern lens, there's obviously faster mons, but with this kind of bulk and offensive profiling, it's pretty scary. Ability-wise, I don't know what to expect, but if anything, multi-scale pre-mega is insane. Inner Focus pre-mega is also good. I think multi-scale will probably synergize better with the Mega, regardless of what its ability is, but we'll see how it goes. Either way, very scary. Afraid to see what the heck this mon does. Now, Meganium is an adorable Mega evolution. I love the 4-tiered flower. I love going from the red to the pink to the lighter pink to the white. It's very, very appealing on the eyes. I particularly love the antenna, little swirly bit you got here. And I love the sort of frilly look that it has above its feet, the darker green gradient on it. It's super appealing. And Meganium's a mon that's historically, you know, been kind of a laughingstock. Like, Meganium, the worst starter ever in battle, and to be honest, true. I was sort of in the camp of people, not maliciously making fun of it, but kind of just on the objective lens of, you know, how good our starter Pokemon. Meganium has always been down there as the worst, you know, when you're outclassed by things like Eviolite, Tangela, you know, pre-Meganium getting knockoff and SV. it's pretty dire. It's pretty bad. So the Mega Evolution pretty much fixes the fact that Meganium had no offensive profiling, because Meganium does have good natural bulk. 80, 100, 100 is good, and it gains a bit more, and you dump 60 points into spat. So wow, it actually has an offensive thing going on. And Fairy type. Grass Fairy is a good type, it's mixed, you have a lot of weaknesses, but at the same time, most of the time adding Fairy to something will enhance it. I would say that's probably the case for Meganium as well, gaining a neutrality to U-turn, valuable resistances in... I was gonna say knockoff in fighting, but dark in fighting, but when I say dark, it's basically always knockoff, as well as dragon immunity, so that's pretty cool. I think as far as a Mega Meganium goes, this is pretty much exactly what you could realistically want for it. I kind of expected more bulkless offense, but I'm a fan of the fact they got 60 spat. I think that's really cool. In terms of ability, I think vibe-wise, I don't know. I'm feeling Natural Cure. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing amazing, per se. I know a lot of people go Triage. A million fan games be doing that. I could see it. It'd be okay. It'd be a neat niche. Oh, alternatively, I could see, what's that one ability? If it's the one I'm thinking of, I could see Flower Veil, which is that ability that makes it so you can't status a grass-type Pokemon at all, so it would be immune to Toxic and things like that. I'm pretty sure that's what the ability is, because I think Flower Veil is only on Fairy-type mons like Comfey, if not mistaken. Actually, let's just fact-check ourselves. Real quick on this. Yeah, okay, in modern generations in Gen 6, it was only stat lowering. So yeah, you can't lower its stats and it's immune to status conditions. I could realistically see this, given it's only on Fairy-type Pokemon, so if they want to, you know, move the distribution to an actual Grass-type Pokemon, I think this is a great opportunity to do that. And, you know, we've seen how good status immunity is on Pokemon like Garganacl. Meganium's no stranger to longevity with recovery moves and access to stuff like Leech Seed. So I think it could be neat. Now, for Alligator, he's a goofy guy, he's a funny guy. Aesthetically, I think he's neat. I kind of wish the head was at a slightly more forward angle in-game, because I feel like it's a bit far back for what the idea is. Like, yeah, you can see in its attack animations when it comes down and resembles a Totodile. I think the thing they do with its arms, where it kind of like crosses its arms in, and the little like red bits on the side of its chest resemble the Totodile arms, I think that's really creative design. I think he's cool. Aesthetically, on a gameplay level, I'm honestly not expecting a ton, because I look at this mon's stats, I see the fact it didn't get any speed. And for Alligator's a mon that's always lived on Sheer Force Life Orb, so that combo goes away when you have no item slot. And Dragon offensively is a bit weird, because you're reliant on moves like Outrage, which have massive drawbacks, or Scale Shot, which kind of necessitates an item slot that you don't have on the Mega. Dragon Claw is a bit weak on the whole. The bulk's pretty good, but the lack of the speed gain kind of just... I don't know, I don't quite see what this mon's going to do. I look at it from a gameplay POV, and I kind of just think Mega Gyarados does its job similarly, but a bit more effectively, because the thing with Mega Gyarados is you have Intimidate pre-Mega, you have the shenanigans of changing from Water Flying to Water Dark. On top of better speed tier, also access to Dragon Dance, like for Alligator. And Molt Breaker is really useful for Mega Gyarados to bypass unaware Pokemon and Earthquake Levitate Pokemon. Ability-wise, if they go the Strong Jaw route for Alligator, I don't think it's gonna be very good, to be honest. Because all it really has is non-stab Crunch and Ice Fang, and I could see them doing that for the sake of, oh, it fits the thematic, but this isn't Sharpedo, we're not clicking the Turbo Crunch. So I don't really see the cook gameplay-wise with this one quite yet. The next mon is Skarmory. This is like one of my favorite megas. Also, it's been a long time into the video and haven't. I was gonna make this tier list basically my personal favorites, and then I was gonna say, oh, Pokemon or megas I think are great, ones I think are good, and just like, okay. I don't really need this bottom tier. I feel pretty positively about all these megas. So, Clefable, in terms of how I tier this, I talk a little bit about battling, but I don't want to make it you know, exclusively battling, because obviously that's foolish given we don't know abilities. It's all just kind of... This is basically vibes. That's what I'm trying to get at. So vibes-wise, I think this is great. I think this is great. He's good. This is great. Okay, Skarmory vibes are up there, though. Skarmory vibes are excellent. I love what they did with it, because when the leaks came out, my initial thought with Skarmory was, I hope they do something different with it to distinguish it from base Skarmory, and by extension Corviknight, because it plays sort of similarly to Skarmory, albeit with some move pool differences. And they pretty much did exactly that with the stat spread. They shifted 30 from the defense into 30 Spadef, and then they just dumped everything into speed and attack, and I think that's awesome, because Skarmory has an amazing defensive typing. It has Weak Armor Pre-Mega or Sturdy Pre-Mega. Weak Armor particularly can synergize with this. Skarmory does have access to Swords Dance, it has Brave Bird, it has Drill Run for coverage, it has Iron Head for stab. It also has Magnet Bomb, but I don't know if Magnet Bomb's going to keep that buff it had in ZA into mainline, so that's a bit of a question mark. Though Iron Head's flinch chance might honestly make it a better move on the whole, and depending on this Pokemon's ability, we'll see what it prefers to run. I'm kind of a fan of the idea of it getting Tough Claws to really supplement its damage with Brave Bird and Drill Run and all that stuff, and from the aesthetic point of view, I don't think I've ever seen a more Tough Claws coded Pokemon in my life. These big Pukeko looking feet. And I like the color shift to this gold. And also I think it's neat that the shiny Mega Skarmory is basically just normal Skarmory's shiny. I think that's funny, if in case you prefer the silver sleek gray look of it. But it is very visually striking, and I think it's a great design. I think the gameplay shift is awesome. This is one of my favorite CI Megas, honestly. I put that above Meganium. I think this is excellent. Skarmory's always been one of my favorite Pokemon. Speaking of great vibes, Process Mega. Really, really big fan of this. I think aesthetically it is, you know, out of the park. I love that we gave it the Oni horns, extended them out a bit. The mon is taller, it has longer... What would you even call it? I want to call it arms, but they connect to its head, so it's a little weird. But I love the design. I love how this resembles a cloud, and like ice and snow. I love the purple-blue contrast, little ice crystals making a snowflake with the little... It's such a vibe. It's a great vibe. And from the gameplay POV, Frostlass gaining 60 spat is amazing, but actually has, like Meganium, an actual offensive profiling to speak of. Because it's always been a fast utility kind of mon with a good move pool. And this mon did get Nasty Plot in ZA, so, you know, Nasty Plot, that natural spat. On the ability level, I think Snow Warning would make a ton of sense, given its origin as a Yuki-Onna kind of looking thing, and then that would go with the Gen 9 buff of Snow being a defense raise, and this mon's Mega doesn't gain any defense, so giving it actually a little bit of sustain on top of making Blizzard a very, very clickable move would be really, really strong. Yeah, on the whole, no. Amazing vibes. One of my favorite Megas. Put it up here. Like, if I get enough up here, I might actually bump Meganium down, just because, like, this is, like, my favorite guys. Emboar is interesting. In terms of vibes on the design, excellent. I love the soldier sort of looking vibe that it has going. I think the weapon having this contrast of orange and red, you can see it on the sort of body design all over the place too. I love this, what do you call it? The flames on its upper body kind of resemble a face and look a bit intimidating, and I like how they extended the top part of his sort of headpiece. It's just it's a really good design. And also, shiny Mega Emboar, that blue, incredible. On the gameplay level, it's a little weird, because most of its points get dumped into Spadef, which isn't inherently bad, but only getting 10 defense is a bit strange to me. And it gets 10 speed, or in a 10 spat for fun, I guess. I feel like they built this to want to be a bulk of Pokemon, but in terms of vibes for ability, I have no idea what to feel, because base Emboar is a pure reckless, like, let's go kill ourselves type gameplay, like, be clicking Choice Band, stab, reckless, flare blitz, be clicking Wild Charge with Reckless. Head Smash if you're deranged. I know it got knockoff in Gen 9, I believe. It has Sucker Punch, has Bulk Up, Flame Charge, all these things. It has a pretty good move pool. I'm unsure. Like, the ability will determine pretty much everything about this mon and how good it'll be, because the stat spread is a little bit weird to gain so much bulk on this side when the mon historically is not about longevity. It's merely clicking recoil moves and abusing your high base HP to, you know, get a couple of them off to get a couple kills. So yeah, gameplay wise, I don't know. Vibes wise, pretty great. It's pretty much exactly what you would want from Ember. Feel very strongly about it. Aesthetically. Gameplay wise, I'm hesitant. Now, Excadrill. Excadrill has been one of my favorite Pokemon ever since its inception in Black and White. To have an early game mold Pokemon that's sort of like the equivalent of Diglett become Ground Steel, that evolves early. It gets like everything it wants from level up in game early, like Swords Dance, Drill Run, eventually Earthquake. It is the GOAT. It is one of the greatest Pokemon like that there has been. Mr. Sandrush, Mr. Moldbreaker, this is the guy. And Mega Excadrill's stats, you know, barring the fact that it doesn't gain any Spit F, but, you know, not everything can be min-max, and that's fine. I just think it's funny to throw 15 in Spat. But the game to defense is pretty baller, because it lets it abuse this typing's defensive profile really, really well. And the 15 jump and speed is amazing. 88 to 103 is insane. Now you're outrunning all these base 90s, 95s, 97, 98, blah, 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 base 100s, even your 101s. This is a great speed tier in combination with the Rapid Spin buff from Gen 8. It still has access to Swords Dance. Abilities pre-mega are pretty good. I could see this Pokemon getting Tough Claws as well. Ooh, I mean to click that. But stat-wise, this is pretty good. And then 30 attack, you can never complain. On the vibes level, I like how it looks. A lot of people feel mixed on it or say the in-game model looks a bit derpy. The way it walks is kind of funny. I think the animation it does when it uses Drill Run, where it kind of curls its hands together and moves its headpiece down, it just goes full drill mode, like similar to the Gen 5 anime. I think that's awesome. I like the fact they chose the red coloring on the drills is really cool. Like, I can't explain it unless you look at it in game, but I like when it sort of closes them together. There's a really cool contrast on the silver and red. The one weird thing is in game you can't really see this around its eye, that like marking. The Mega models in ZA kind of glow, and Excadrill's not a particularly big Pokemon, so I honestly never noticed that despite using Excadrill in my playthrough of ZA. So that's strange to me. Wish that was a bit more visible in game, because it does give it a little more of a distinct difference between the forms, because that base Excadrill doesn't have that. Very, very, very minor thing, but might just be consequence of glowing effect on Smallmon. But I like this Mega. Vibes-wise, pretty good. I think it's, you know, the vibe of the Mega is like alright. Realistically, it's probably like here, but Excadrill is just one of my favorite Pokemon, like, period. So the fact that it exists just makes me happy. So it immediately gets bumped up for that. Speaking of, because of the fact that it exists, it makes me happy, Scolipede. What a cool-ass Mega, right? Like, is this not one of the coolest Megas? Just forget the gameplay for a second, like, completely. It's so cool. I don't know. I like the thing a lot of Mega Pokemon do where they implement traits from the pre-evolution, so having the Whirlipede sort of body armor cocoon sort of thing being used as armor here. Love the contrast of the green highlighting and the green eye with the purple black. Like, Scollipede's color palette is so good, man. What a good Pokemon. Someone was really just saying like, oh, we should make a giant centipede that you can ride like a horse. What an awesome freaking on. In terms of the gameplay of the Mega, minus 50 speed in exchange for a bunch of bulk and attack is certainly a choice. It has speed boost pre-Mega, and I think this might be a preemptive measure to make sure it's not too broken, because historically having speed boosts on a mon that gains a ton of stats is pretty horrifying. In the case of Blaziken Mega, it keeps speed boost, and speed boost is just flat out insane. This mon also has access to Swords Dance, Iron Defense, Baton Pass, Entry Hazards, Endeavor, Earthquake. This game gave it U-turn, which is new. It game gave it Gunk Shot, which is new. I have no idea what ability you give this, honestly, because Bug Poison is such a poor offensive typing. So in terms of gameplay, I feel like it's either going to be completely flaccid and bad and just not worth using, or it's going to be something extremely obnoxious. I don't know. Because you could just say, oh, you give it stamina or something, but realistically, what does that accomplish? Really? Like, it has bulk. The stamina would be like more bulk. But it doesn't have longevity with recovery or anything. It's not like a mon that learns leech life or anything, and this typing is horrendous offensively, and defensively it's mediocre at best. I don't know, gameplay-wise, nah. Vibes-wise. The vibe check on this mon, stupendous. Like, absolutely stupendous. Scrafty is another Pokemon I've always been fond of. I mean, okay, on the whole, Generation 5 is my favorite generation of Pokemon, so I was a bit let down that my favorite generational mechanic being Megas. Barely had any Gen 5 Pokemon, it was just Audino, and aesthetically I do like Audino, but from a gameplay level, what the hell? You gave the stats that it wanted, but functionally no ability in singles. Not even function, no, it literally is no ability in singles. Like, damn, Audino got done so dirty. Mega Scrafty's interesting. Because it gains a bunch of attack, and Scrafty's attack has always been kind of middling, and you get more bulk and then jump it from 58 to 60 HP, that's alright. It's another mon with Intimidate Pre-Mega, always a bonus. Pretty much like always a bonus. In terms of ability, I wouldn't be surprised if they just let it retain Shed Skin. I feel like that makes sense for it and would be like okay. It is a slightly better Dragon Dancer with increased attack and defense and the speed tier, but you probably still need 2 to get going at all. On a design space, I think the mech is really cool. It's actually really funny because I've never been too fond of Scrafty's shiny in general. Not too big of this like neon green looking thing. But the Mega, oh, they don't actually have it here. The Mega did exactly what I wanted, where it became purple and white, and I think that's excellent because I like purple. End sentence. I think that's pretty obvious. Yeah, vibes, immaculate stats, pretty good. Scrafty is just cool ass Pokemon. That's all I gotta say. It's a cool ass mon. Good vibes. You'll notice I like a lot of the Gen 5 Pokemon. It's my favorite gen. The mons they picked are pretty popular. Electros is really interesting on a gameplay level because its distinguishing factor has always been it's an electric type of levitate, so it has no type weaknesses. And aesthetically, I like the Mega. It took me a bit to warm up to it. I was a little mixed at first because I wasn't sure about like white as a color. But this, I mean, it makes sense because the in-game Pokedex calls it mucus, right? And they're sort of like pseudo-electric. I really like the distinctiveness they added to the face pattern. I think it accentuates the eye really, really well. It's pretty striking visually. I'm a big fan of it. I've always really liked the Electros line. I like this strange, really slow mixed attacker with basically every move in the world. You know, for me, I prefer when a Pokemon has an interesting moveset and learns a ton of different things. That's not to say slap every move on every Pokemon, but I prefer when they do that as opposed to a Pokemon that is extremely catered to click like 4 moves. You know, the kinds of Pokemon like Galarian to Manatan, it just is like the click 1 button Pokemon, or Dracovich's click the 1 button Pokemon, or Spectrier, especially in Jenny, it's like, oh, it has 1 move. I'm a fan of the mons that are flexible and can learn a bunch of different coverage moves, personally, so Electros always appealed to me. And I like the design of Electros as a whole. I like sort of, oh, it's Tynamoo's a little baby man, he doesn't really do anything, and then eventually become Electros. And it's like, oh, it's this really unique mon with no weaknesses and learns a bunch of moves, but stats are like okay, and it's slow, and its bulk isn't great, right? So in terms of the ability I'd like for this thing, I kind of just hope it's Levitate Plus, because the mon's distinguishing thing is the fact it has no weakness. I think it should just be like a new ability that's just Levitate plus more. Speaking of plus, I adore the design thing where the mouse on the pseudo-electric kind of open and close and do the negative and the plus and the negative and the plus. It's really charming. It's very pleasing. But I think it'd be cool if the Pokemon's ability was Levitate plus, I don't know, maybe like a Life Orb? I saw it being thrown around like, oh, give it plus minus plus Levitate, and that'd be neat. But if I'm not mistaken, plus plus minus plus Levitate would give it plus 1 spat. I think I would take the slight damage cut to make it a built-in Life Orb, because the Mon's identity is a mixed attacker. And, you know, that's true here because they added 30 to both, right? So I think functionally just giving it a damage boost while retaining the original design of Levitate on Electric type would be pretty cool. Also, stat-wise, the jump to 80 speed is actually pretty good. I kind of wish I got more defense. I really wish I got more defense, actually, because it's a Pokemon with access to Coil. But it's alright. It's an okay stat spread. It looks awkward, but Electros has always been a very awkward Pokemon in terms of how it's built. Vibe-wise, I really like this line. I really, really like this line. It's great vibes. Chandelure is one of the most popular Gen 5 Pokemon. The aesthetics of the Mega are pretty much exactly what you would expect. I'm particularly a big fan of the heterochromia going on, where the one eye is a different color. Which is what that means, I don't know why I said that, defining it. Big fan of that. Love the little sort of crownish headpiece and how the flame extends really high up. I mean, granted, base Chandelure does that too, right? But I guess even more with that. How they expand on that is pretty neat. In terms of gameplay, the spat's impressive, and the bulk gains are nice, and jumping to 90 speed is nice. Body attack's a bit depressing, and from a gameplay space, I don't know what ability you give it. The Chandelure is not a Pokemon with like some earth-shattering ability. It's like Flame Body is like neat, but it's kind of a Frailmon because the base HP is so low. Flash Fire is cool, Infiltrator's cool. Usually you run one of those. But I don't know what new ability you give the Mega, because I know people are like, oh, Shadow Attack, Shadow Attack, Shadow Attack. I don't think they're going to overlap the design space of Mega Gengar and Chandelure like that. Even if they did, I still think Gengar's probably a better Shadow Attack abuser than this, by virtue of being like way faster. So gameplay-wise, I don't know how to feel about this. Because I need an ability to really see what justifies this as a Mega. Because the spat is great, but no item slot, and like being vulnerable to all these hazards and everything, I don't know. Like, obviously it depends on the dex format, but I look at it and I'm sort of just like, I'd rather just like pick up Blacephalon or something from a gameplay space, you know? It's really cool though. Cool vibe. Chandelure is like one of my favorite Pokemon, though honestly the Mega doesn't like wow me. I'm gonna put it down here. Outside Dexter probably goes down here for the Mega specifically. I love it, but it doesn't like. Oh, there are so many Megas in this game. Been recording for like half an hour. It just keeps going. Dude, every time I keep going down, I'm just like, the vibes are like immaculate on these Pokemon. Chestnut. This is one of the hardest Mega designs, dude. Like, oh my god, what a cool freaking Mon. I love the crown, I love the shields, I love the fluffy sort of lower body and the red cape contrast. It's such a good design. And from the gameplay space, like, this is min-max to hell. Minus 20 speed to like min-max onto your bulk and get 50 and 40 here when Chestnut's whole thing is being a bulky Pokemon. The existence of Body Press as a move with a Pokemon that has Stab on it and now has base 172 defense and access to Iron defense is hilarious. And this is a mon with longevity too, because it has Synthesis. It also has knockoff utility. Chestnut's move pool is really good actually. Like, move tutors have consistently been giving this guy a ton of stuff to work with. In terms of ability, I don't even think it really needs anything crazy, like, at all. And I feel that way about all of the Kalos Mega starters, because their stat spreads are so good. Like, you could have iron barbs and I would call it excellent. You could keep bulletproof. I wouldn't be mad because bulletproof is really good in the right situations. It's really good. It's amazing. Amazing vibes. Delphox is also so cool. I picked Fennec in an XY way back when. And I was always bothered because, you know, Chestnut gets this super cool OC new ability, bulletproof, I'm immune to all these moves, and I'm Greninja and I have unnerfed Protean, I'm the best thing ever, and then Delphox gets Magician, which is horrible. So, Mega Delphox. Getting 30 speed is insane, and the Zard-wise spat, and no wasted points at attack, oh my god. His mon stats are ridiculous, and it has nasty plot and calm mind, and like pretty good coverage, and some... Oh my god, it has so much to work with. I could see them going the Levitate route, which definitely like isn't as good in doubles because you can't abuse expanding force, but for singles, like Levitate's great because no more sticky whip, no more spikes, no more T-spike, ground immunity on a mon weak to ground, like... I love the design. I love the contrast of the darker cloak. Sort of the ear... I say ear pierces, more like... I mean, it's hair, obviously, but the bits that extend back here are pretty cool and striking to look at. And I love the levitating sticks. I love the flying on the broomstick. It's just such a cool mon, man. It's so cool. Like, as the Fennekin picker back in XY, it fills me with joy. It truly... It fills me with so much joy. I'll say I probably put these, like, up here. I don't know, dude, they're so good. I can't even pick between who I like more, between Mega Chestnut and Mega Delphox. The vibes are so good on both. It's so freaking good, man. Love these things. Greninja's an interesting case because we did have Ashgren in, what was it, Oras, in Ultra Sun and Moon. That one's broken, by the way. And we had Battle Bond, the Gen 8, or, well, Gen 9 version, sorry. Where you get +1 speed, attack, and spat once you get a knockout. And you have Protean still, but Protean's a bit nerfed in Gen 9. Still good, by the way. So in terms of ability for Mega Greninja, I'm not sure. The stats are really good. Because Greninja's the kind of Pokemon that sort of relied on Protean / having good stabs to compensate having like just okay offenses at 1 or 3. So jumping up 30 points on both is quite good, and 30 attacks isn't even bad per se, because Greninja does have access to Swords Dance and some decent physical moves. Like Rock Slide U-Turn. And it gets Waterfall. I forget if it gets Liquidation or not. It doesn't get Knockoff or anything, but it has good moves on both ends. And the speed tier is amazing. Dragapult speed tier, fantastic. And being a fast Dark type is cool, because you're into Prankster shenanigans, so you can't just like click T-Wave on it. Yeah, ability-wise, I don't really know. I know some people throw Technician out there, and that would be cool with Water Shuriken, but that's kind of about it, honestly, of like the relevant moves that I know off the top of my head. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. I think it'll be good. Vibe-wise, Greninja's always been a cool Pokemon. I mean, it's literally one of the most popular Pokemon. Vibes are cool. I think it's a unique angle to have it hang upside down on the Shuriken. I like it. I'll throw it in Great. I've always liked Greninja, but honestly, the vibes of these two, man. So good. They're so freaking good. Oh, I just gas up these two, man. Such cool mons. Pyro. Goofy ass mon. F1 be memeing on Pyro. I get it, +20 everything. And then kind of just gluing the top of female power onto it. Yeah, I get it. I know it's supposed to be like the kanji for Blaze, I believe, on the Mega. I think the red on its face is kind of striking. I never even noticed that in game. I mean, it works. It's just kind of a little bit boring, and from the gameplay perspective, comparing this to Delphox and being 30 spat lower, 8 speed slower, only having marginally better Fizz bulk and definitely worse special bulk. This mon needs some crazy ability to be worth much. Because Fire Normal is not as good as Fire Psychic offensively. Not like Fire Psychic is the craziest thing ever, but Psychic is just kind of more clickable than Normal, I guess. Even that with Normal, you have like, what, like Hyper Voice? not really much to speak of as opposed to like Psychic, and Psyshock, and Expanding Force, and all the and Psychic Noise, like all these really cool Psychic moves with like weird utility aspects to them. Hyper Voice is spread and goes through sub, and it's a sound move. I don't know what ability you give it. Like I feel like even if you slap adaptability on it, which is good by the way, it's just not like a crazy mega. I don't. Why do we do the 20 attack? Why are we hating like that? Why? Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the public consensus on that. It's okay. It's better that it exists than it doesn't, but like, eh. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about Pyro. It's kind of a shame. I always thought Pyro was neat, but you need so much more. I will say Earth Power. Really good buff. Earth Power is a great move for this thing. Relative to Delphox existing, though, definitely not enough. Floette is a very cool mega aesthetically, where pretty much all the energy of the Mega Evolution goes into the flower, and obviously it resembles the ultimate weapon and all that. It's pretty... I use the word striking a lot, but I sort of just mean, you know, when you look at it, it makes you go, wow. That's sort of how I feel about this. I think it's interesting for a lot of reasons, because functionally, Floette Eternal is a new Pokemon, because we never had access to it before. So to basically get the form released when it was in the data for XY over a decade later, and then have a Mega on top of that is pretty interesting. The stats on Floette Eternal are very Gardevoir coded. Even the Mega is very Gardevoir coded. A few more speed. I think a little less back, because I think Mega Gardevoir is like 165, and then pretty fail physically, though the Mega actually does gain defense as opposed to Gardevoir's Mega. So it has a bit more bulk, tiny bit more bulk. In general, from higher HP defense, and I think the Spit F is definitely higher. Mono Fairy and its move pool aren't particularly impressive, but I feel like if ever there was a Pokemon Mega to have a unique ability, it would be Floette Eternal. I don't know what the heck it'll do, but I'm sure it'll be some DLC nonsense most likely, because the Flabébé line's abilities have never really existed, because they don't really do anything with Symbiosis and Flower Veil on a Pokemon that is Mono Fairy. So just having ability is pretty cool. Aesthetically, it's pretty cool. I like it. I don't feel strongly toward it, like, yet. I think it's great. Also, you probably go great. This looks like the biggest hater for Alligator. You know, I'm just gonna delete this last tier. We're gonna be nice. We're gonna be nice today. And just say there's these three, because I really do like all the Mega Pokemon. I don't want to like single out anyone as the worst. But it's good. What's not good is Malamar's stat spread, and it baffles me to no end because the aesthetic is insane on this. I love the resemblance to a brain, just the whole, what do you call it? Like the... This is the hard thing about not editing and just recording in one go, because I'm seeing what I want to talk about in my brain, and I can't remember what it's called. Sort of like your central nervous system. Malamar has a similar look with a brain kind of extending all the way down. It's sort of similar. And I love the idle pose for Malamar is incredible. I love the swirling the tentacles as a sort of hypnosis sort of deal, and the rainbow color palette of its body, and the way it extends up like that kind of gives it the supervillain with the comedically tall ape sort of. It's aesthetically so cool. So what the hell is this? You dump everything into Spinef. And the one's whole shtick is contrary superpower, but it gains no Fizzbulk? So it begs the question, does it keep contrary? Because even if it kept contrary, only jumping up 15 speed to the extra drill speed tier on a Mega is not crazy, and Pokemon's defensive typing is not good. Because it only has one immunity. And like, sure, it's only weak to two things, but one of those being U-turn is pretty bad. And then you got a random 30 dumped in Spat and only 10 attack, so either this one is A, the worst one of the worst megas ever, or B, they're cooking some insane cracked out ability that is like contrary on steroids or something. Because in terms of Malamar Spat, it weirdly enough does get moves like Flamethrower and Expanding Force and Dark Pulse and all that, but yeah, I don't know, really strange. I need an ability to know vibes on this thing. But damn, the aesthetic is so freaking good. It is like one of the best aesthetics on a mecha. It's so good. Barbarical Mecha has aura. I really like the color palette swap to make the brown black. And I think the distinctive shape of its head, because Barbarical has that sort of claw grip looking head with the fingers, but then Mega Barbarical it sticks the two middle fingers. I guess they're two middle fingers, right? I'm like trying to replicate this with my hand. Yeah, it would be like if you stick the like two of your fingers up and then two in the middle down. It gives it a good silhouette difference between the forms, which I think is great. And it's very intimidating and imposing Mon. And I think that's really cool. Especially the way it moves in game. Like, holy aura farm. Losing the water type to become rock fighting, which is the first rock fighting type since Terrakion, is pretty interesting. It is a Shell Smash Pokemon, but it's also a Mega, so you don't get White Herb. It did get access to stuff like Close Combat. Once again, this is like the third Mon in this list I could say you could just retain Tough Claws from base Barbarical, and that'd be really strong. Tough Claws stab Close Combat is some ungodly level of strong, because Mega Barbarical's attack is like, what, 150? 140? And Speed Tier jumps to 88, and 88 at +2 from Shell Smash is very good, and it gains bulk on both sides, so it's one of the bulkiest Shell Smashers in the game too. Like, this is a cool Mon. Pretty excellent. Big fan. Dragalge is one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 6. I'm just a big seahorse enjoyer in general. And actually, I recently went to an aquarium where they had seahorses exactly like what Dragalge is based on, the sort of kelp seaweed disguise looking guys. They're really cool. They're super cool. They look really unnatural. And they have the little fins on their body that they use to move and propel themselves around, which Dragalge doesn't really do, but vibes-wise, I love the vibes of this Mega. I love the extension of its sort of headpiece massively, to be long and flowing. Then just the whole body gets a lot more elaborate, and I love the sort of lures that it has built into its head where it can kind of sink under the water and then have the bits on the top. It'll be like, oh, save the poor person drowning, and then it's just this giant poisonous seahorse. Awesome. Also, Dex Entry. Hilarious. Mega Dragalge's Dex Entry, what was that about? Like, please read that and think about that for like 2 seconds. In terms of ability, I want Regenerator, I want some Slowking sort of deal, except if Slowking was Dragon and dropped Dracos and had Flip Turn instead of Chilly Reception, I guess it would be really cool to have a utility Mon like this that also hits really hard and has longevity with regen. With the Pokedex description, I think it would fit perfectly. Because the stat spread's pretty cool. A ton of special bulk, and a lot of special attack, which is good, because base Dragalge has adaptability, which amplifies his damage output a lot. His base 97 is not impressive. So that's a pretty appropriate thing to give it 35. It's bad, I don't know why I'm sorry, I'm like half sleep deprived while doing this. Vibes. Immaculate vibes. It's so good. I mean, this isn't like ordered at all, it's just vibes. It's like semi-ordered. No, it's not really. I can't tell. There's too many megas to like really be that specific about it. It doesn't matter. It's just general feel. Hawlucha Mega is pretty much exactly what you would want the Mega to be. I like how swole it looks, because Hawlucha's kind of just a little guy, and it's still a little guy in the Mega. It's just a very buff little dude. A very, very buff little dude. In terms of gameplay, Hawlucha's whole shtick has always been unburdened, so not having that in the Mega's gonna shift the gameplay a lot. Buffing the attack by 45 is very good. It gains a ton of bulk, and its speed tier remains the same, which is good. because I was afraid its feature would drop on the Mega given how bulky it looks. That's really good. The Mega might actually have Hawlucha using moves it doesn't ordinarily use, because it does have access to moves like U-turn, but there never really has been a reason to use that on base Hawlucha, because base Hawlucha is just the end game, like, you know, I consume the item and I SD and I go kind of guy. This guy seems more like Breaker slash earlier game than Hawlucha, just sort of being an end game guy. Aesthetically, it's great. Pretty much exactly what you would want from it. I used Hawlucha in base XY. I used Hawlucha in XY on my first playthrough, and I was a big fan. And I'm a big fan of this guy. He's great. The phone in my house is ringing in the background. I hope that doesn't pick up. I don't think it will. But Zygarde Mega is an absolutely fascinating thing to exist in general, and it kind of just confuses me, and I'm sort of just like rubbing my hands on my face, just like trying to like wrap my head around what the heck is going on here in terms of the gameplay. I think the aesthetic is really freaking cool. I love that we reorganize the cells to functionally make a giant weapon. It sort of reveals the green underbits of its body, and it looks like very human-like. It gives massive like Cell DBZ vibes in the best sense of the word. It's just a really cool-looking guy. The signature move is what, like 200 base power in Legends Z? Yeah, it's definitely going to be like 100 in mainline with no drawback. Because having the concept of a dragon move that just ignores the fairy immunity is hysterical. And this Pokemon has what, like base 216, 208 spat? What was it? Yeah, 216, 100 speed. I know it's conditional. It requires a Megastone and it requires being weak, but like, what the hell is this? What are we doing? This is crazy. The fact we min-maxed off of attack to jump this up to 216. It's not even like a traditional Mega, because it's not 100 BST gain, it's just reshuffling and then 70. Not like it needs the points, but it's so weird because you could have kept this at 100 attack, and then just it would be like the traditional 100 gain on a Mega. But it has 1,000 waves and 1,000 arrows and Nihil Light and all this nonsense. Like, this is an insane mon. Really freaking cool, though, I will say. I think he's great. It's a little strange and very unorthodox, but the design I vibe with a lot. Big fan of that. I also particularly like how them in ZA, the way that Zygarde's body and cells sort of light up in a lot of its animations. It's really good. Really good. I like it a lot. Drampa Mega is very funny. And, you know, everyone always be throwing strays at Pyro, like, haha, plus 20 across the board. Loki. It's just plus 25 everything except speed. Don't tell them that, though. I like the aesthetic a lot. I like the way the hair flares up and it becomes a storm cloud. Sort of the angry demeanor, the way it floats around in-game, because base Trampa sort of just kind of like slowly inches along the ground outside of when it uses Fly, because it can learn Fly, which made me laugh for a good 5 minutes when I first played Gen 7 trying to catch that thing, and it said Trampa flew up high. I was like, what do you mean? Where did he go? I level up, by the way. It wins up, I level up. Which is rare. Yeah, vibes-wise, I like Mega Drampa. In terms of ability, I kind of hope it gets Drizzle. It resembles a Storm Cloud. Drampa does get a lot of amuse to abuse Rain. And it would be a pretty interesting doubles Pokemon to have sort of a slow weather setter. Not as slow as Torkoal, but to have a slow rain setter with access to really strong Hurricane and Hydro Pump, Thunder. It does have Stab Hyper Voice, like a really powerful Draco. Like, this mon hits hard, it's pretty bulky, but it is slow. Yeah, I think it's cool though. It's definitely cool. I forgot to put Victory Bell here. Victory Bell's got great vibes. Where is my guy, Trampa? He's got great vibes. Doesn't really matter where he goes, he's just got great vibes. He got great vibes. Phalanx. Phalanx is a Pokemon I really like in Gen 8. He's like one of my favorite guys from that gen, along with Hatterene, Corviknight. others. But they only picked one Mega from Gen 8, and they picked Phalanx. I think that's a pretty good pick. It's the fellows, it's the guys, they're cute. They make me happy. I like this Mega a lot. It's very goofy, it's very charming, it's endearing, it's adorable, it's hysterical, it's excellent. In terms of the stats, it is min-max the way that you want, where it gains a ton of attack and defense and speed, nothing wasted in spat. Only getting 5 Spit F is pretty suspect, and the fact it's mono fighting isn't great because mono fighting has a bajillion broken Pokemon as competition. No Retreat's a cool move. But even with these stats, like base Phalanx's stats are not good. Even with no retreat, the mon's basically irrelevant. The stats are better, but doing a whole Mega Stone slot for this and an Omni Boost move, like, if I want to be a true hater for a second, if I compare this to like base Como, which gets an item and has an Omni Boost move like this, I'll bite at the caveat of losing a bit of health, but Como could still switch if it wants on like Phalanx. Base Phalanx actually could run Shed Shell to swap out after using No Retreat. That's a little known interaction that I think is really funny. I don't know, I don't think it'd be worth your Mega Slot unless it gets some absolutely like cracked out ability. But on the vibes are so good. I'm saying vibes a lot, but just the feel. I look at this Mega and it makes me smile. I'm glad he's here, I'm glad he exists. He fills me with joy and whimsy. What also fills some people with joy and whimsy is Mega Raichu X. I was kind of indifferent a little bit on the design, but I grew a little bit more fond because I saw some Japanese tweets on my timeline showing, well, okay, A, the fact that in-game its model sort of does the Superman pose, flies around, that's amazingly endearing. It is so adorable. But on top of that, I saw someone rotate the model on the Pokedex showing a Raichu in that pose, Raichu X, and they sort of show his belly. He's a little bit pudgy and chubby, and it's really cute, actually. So it's a mon I didn't really feel anything for, but seeing that kind of sold me a bit. I like him. I like him a lot more now. In terms of gameplay, we'll get back to those. In terms of gameplay, what the hell is this? He was asking for a bulky Raichu with no additional speed. Being a physical electric type that's not named Zeraora or like a couple like other exclusive guys is a death sentence. Like, yes, you have Volt Tackle. I know there's that weird interaction in ZA where if you use Volt Tackle you get an attack raise, but this Pokemon has no HP. Like, it is going to kill itself so fast. Even if the ability has that like as a passive in mainline, I still don't think it's very good. I don't think this will be a good mon in battle, quite frankly. What I do think will be good is this. This little demon guy. Holy spat and speed. This is Tapu Koko. Anyway, like, Tapu Koko has, what, like 95 spat, but the electric terrain boost. This Pokemon hits harder than Tapu Koko in terrain because it has an actual spat of 160. We don't even know what the ability is. The 130 speed is amazing. It's frail as hell, but Raichu has really good coverage. Like Surf and Alluring Voice and Nasty Plot for boosting and Focus Blast and Grass Knot. Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and singles this mon is easy work. Also, aesthetically it is like Pikachu. I'm actually quite fond of the shiny that resembles Pikachu more, because I feel like if you're gonna do the whole oh it resembles Pikachu, just go all the way. The vibes are definitely here, but the gameplay is like here, like I want to use this Pokemon real bad. I think it's cute. He's cute. He's fine. Chimecho is another Mega that just fills me with joy. I always liked Chimecho since I was younger. I thought it was an adorable Pokemon. James had the one Chimecho in the anime. It's such a cute little friend. I love it. But from a gameplay preview, Chimecho's kind of been poop for forever. Gen 7 gave it some stat buffs, which is nice, but you honestly probably wouldn't be able to tell that looking at these numbers that these got buffed significantly in Gen 7, because if we go here for a sec, it got 10 on every bulk, which is great, but these stats are... The Mega does exactly what you would want it to do, though, in terms of stats. 40 spat, 30 on each bulk, very efficiently spread, and gaining Steel. Slapping Steel onto any typing is like one of the biggest buffs you can give to a mono-type Pokemon. Psychic Steel is no exception. We've had historically a lot of really good Psychic Steel Pokemon like Jirachi from the same gen, Metagross from the same gen, Mega Metagross from the same gen. I think has a lot of these guys. We've had Iron Crown. We're not going to talk about base Sogalio, that's like one of the worst cases, but the standard of a box legendary is really freaking high. Chimeco's move pool is excellent. It has Calm Mind, Cosmic Power, Recover, Encore, Knockoff, Psychic Noise, Calm Mind, and now gets Boom Burst. In terms of ability, I'd be okay if it just kept Levitate, to be quite honest. I know some people are like, oh, Steel type, Pixelate, Boom Burst, go crazy, but like Chimeco's never really been like a DPS mon to me. It's always been like utility support kind of guy. And like you could do both. But I think Psychic Steel's defensive profiling is amplified significantly when you have Levitate in mind. I kind of do hope it keeps that. Really adorable, adorable design. Resembling Qinglang with the metal ring and just the oversized little... Oversized little doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying. The oversized ribbons on top of it. The additional pseudo chime echoes to reverberate with it. It is so cute. It is so cute. It's so cute. I'm so glad they showed this mega early. In terms of before the DLC came out when they chose which megas to show early. I'm so glad they chose Chimeco early. This is a Pokemon that really desperately needed love, and I think as far as megas go, this is peak mega. Absol, whose art dropped yesterday. I'm a big fan of Absol. The original Mega aesthetically is awesome. Its gameplay disappoints me. I understand they wanted to go the mixed attacker route because Absol does have a good special move pool. The Magic Bounce on a Mono Dark with functionally no bulk is really bad, so this Mega seeks to rectify that by going all in on offense. By literally 24 attack and 76 speed, more than doubling its base speed stat, is hilarious. The additional ghost typing does a lot for it because it gives it immunity to priority moves such as Mach Punch and Extreme Speed, while giving it an additional Albite sort of redundant stab because Dark and Ghost hit the same things, but only being weak to Fairy is quite nice. And it did gain some ghost moves. I think it got like Atom Force. What else did you get? In a minute. Yeah, you got Phantom Force, Shadow Claw, which isn't like particularly amazing or anything, but the Ghost's defensive profiling on Absol does a lot of work for it. And aesthetically, I do like it. It is hilariously edgy, but like he's so freaking cool. I don't care. He's so cool. I wish that it had a better Pokedex entry because I'm interested as to why it's a ghost type from like an in-universe perspective, but the Dex entry kind of just talks about how it can use the sort of feathers as like a claw, and like that much is obvious. So I wish they talked about more about why the Mega Evolution does this for it, but vibes wise, it's really good. Is it up there? Is it that good? Probably like here. It's like here, but it's like the Raichu Y situation. I almost called it Pikachu straight up. It's like the Raichu Y situation gameplay wise. I wanted to play with it a lot, but vibes wise, it's probably here. Now, Mega Staraptor is some hella aura. I love the red eye with the black outline around it. It is so intimidating, and I love the markings they added on its body. It looks so much more battle-beaten with some of the plumage and feathers, especially the ones up here. Like, it's right as like the Zard Y thing, where its wings are like melted, right? It is so cool. It is such a cool Pokemon. Mega Staraptor gains only a little bit of attack range. It gives a ton of bulk, which is like... It's sort of like the Emboar thing, where base Staraptor is a certified I kill myself mod with, you know, Reckless, Choice Band, Braybird, and Double Edge, as opposed to Flare Blitz. But Mega Staraptor goes the route of gaining a lot of bulk with a little bit of speed. And it does get moves like Knockoff now, it gets bulk up, it does have access to Roost. Fighting Flying is an excellent offensive typing, as we've seen with Galarian, Zapdos, as well as Flamigo. Flamigo's unironically a pretty good mon. That saw some success in doubles, I know. Flamigo's hilarious, by the way. Yes, it's really cool Mega. In terms of what people use it, it depends on the ability. Intimidate pre-Mega is always a boon, but using your Mega Slot to get something sort of similar gameplay-wise to Zapdos is a little strange, but vibes-wise, amazing. Amazing. A cool freaking mon. Garchomp we will talk about even if it isn't technically released. Garchomp Z is interesting because it completely alters the gameplay of Garchomp to be a special attacker. Well, not completely, because it is still a physical attacker. Its attack stays the same. It loses a little bit of bulk and then jumps up to 151 speed. It does get nasty plot, but 61 spat is crazy. And it loses the ground typing, which is definitely like a nerf, but Mono Dragon's kind of interesting. And there's some defensive profiling shenanigans with this. On the aesthetic level, I think this is great. I prefer this to the original Garchomp, because this is fine. It's just kind of bulky looking. But I dig how sleek the design is on this. I particularly like the extensions out of the side of its head here. It kind of reminds me of Dragapult a bit. And given the speed tier, yeah, definitely Dragapult vibes. I like the shiny for this in particular. I think it's sort of black, if I remember correctly. It looks really, really clean. It's simple, it's sleek. The gameplay might be interesting. It gets Vacuum Wave as well, and Garchomp Special Move Pool is decent. You can always just use a mixed attacker with Earthquake as well, because Earthquake is still one of the best coverage moves. If you lose Stab on it, there's always the option of not megaing initially. If you want to Stab on Earthquake and then mega for some other purpose, like dropping Dracos. Really cool mon. Put it up here for now. In terms of ability, I don't know. I actually have no idea what ability this would be. I can't even make like a good guess. The same thing for Absol, actually. Because Flamigo has Scrappy, so I don't think Staraptor would get that. Absol, I'm not sure. Because Magic Bounce just doesn't really work on them on this frail, so I think it should be some damage amplifying ability. What that is, I don't really know. I'm not sure if the Z-Megas will share an ability sort of like a Beast Boost sort of deal or what, because they all retain the same base speed of 151, so I don't know. Unsure how to feel about that, but the raw stats of 700 BST with these stat spreads and Garchomp's move pool, like you can't make it bad. Speaking of you can't make it bad, Lucario, what the hell? Why did they min-max Lucario and take 10 out of attack just to amp out the stats this much? 61 speed, and then 49 spat is insane work. Access to Nasty Plot, Stab Vacuum Wave, Flash Cannon. In terms of ability, this one's a bit easier for me to guess if it wasn't an original ability. I think it would be Mega Launcher, because Mega Launcher would be a 50% boost on Aura Sphere in particular. You could also do... Lucario also learns every move boosted by Mega Launcher, including Heal Pulse, by the way, which heals 75%. Clawitzer could do that too. But I guess Dragon Pulse, Water Pulse, Dark Pulse, Aura Sphere, not Flash Cannon. Flash Cannon's not boosted by that, unfortunately, for it. But just being a special attacking fighting is rare, and Steel on top of that, fighting Steel is an amazing defensive profiling. Yeah, this mon's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. And in terms of the aesthetics, I vibe with it hard, actually. I think it's really sleek. I like the sort of... It's not really... Maybe it is the same blue. Maybe it's just the blue contrasting the gray a bit more on some of these parts of the body, but it's a really good design. I like it a lot. Pretty solid. Mega Heatran is hilarious and falls in the camp of those Mega Evolutions that the Dex entries in Gen 7 would talk about. The Pokemon is suffering! Mega Glalie can freeze its opponent solid with its icy breath, but it can't bite, it can't eat its prey because its jaw is locked. You know, it's like that with Heatran. The back part of its body is completely melted, and I feel bad for the guy he is smoking. This is the same vibe I get when you play Pikmin and you see the fiery Bulblacks. And you go, wow, that poor dude, his existence must be suffering. That's Mega Heatran. It does look really cool. I love the open mouth. We're going, ah. It's really cool. In terms of the gameplay, getting no Fizz-Def is weird given how bulky it looks, but the Spat is impressive, the Spidef is impressive, the random 30 in attack is a bit question mark, but I mean, it does get Heavy Slam, it gets First Impression now. I don't think you're really going to run First Impression, but Heavy Slam could be useful against Pokemon like Fairy types that are using Calm Mind. Speed Drop could be neat for Trick Room, I guess. 67 speed's still pretty good. Fire Steel is an amazing defensive typing. In terms of ability, I don't really know. I don't really have a good guess for this. Yeah, I'm not sure. If you want to be absolutely deranged, you just give it like big body, but I don't think they're that deranged. If they did that, that'd be like some unkillable behemoth bulk-wise with this typing. Pretty cool though. Give him great vibes. Now Darkrai. The interesting thing about Darkrai is we had leaks for the stats of Mega Zeraora, Darkrai, and Heatran pre-release, so out of context without the design in mind, when I saw this Pokemon's stat spread on the Mega and that it lost a ton of speed, my initial reaction was out of utter disgust. Because in my brain, from the leaks before that, before we had stats, when I heard Mega Darkrai, I'm like, oh cool, we could give it enough speed to outrun Calyrex Shadow Rider, that'd be neat. Then this MF gets 85 speed, I'm like, why would we do that? But honestly, the bulk gain that it gets is very impressive. And the 30 attack isn't even that bad, because Darkrai does have access to Swords Dance and Knockoff and Sucker Punch. And its special move pool's great, its utility moves are great, like Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp. Coverage with stuff like Ice Beam, Focus Blast, Dark Pulse, Sludge Bomb. This Pokemon's move pool is excellent. Mono Dark isn't the greatest defensive typing, but it can kind of work. I mean, Umbreon makes it work, like, okay. 85 speed is not horrible. I think it's just, like, a gameplay shift. I think what will determine how good this mon is purely the ability, because functionally, Bad Dreams is not really an ability, unless you hit Dark Void and that move got nerfed to the ground, and Hypnosis is still, like, wildly inaccurate. So if Mega Darkrai gets an ability, which I think it'll be maybe a unique ability, maybe it'll be something like passively buffing the accuracy of Dark Void on the Mega, or like, oh, if the opponent's asleep, Darkrai not only does damage to the opponent, it heals like 1/8 of its health, like a poison heal sort of deal. I could see that might be neat. But if they're still gonna make Dark Void's accuracy that bad and be like, oh, you're bulky, you can just fish for more, that's kind of lame. But I can't totally hate, just because the raw numbers on it are crazy, the move pool is crazy, Darkrai is Darkrai. It's a very threatening Pokemon. Aesthetically, though, like, this doesn't fully do it justice. Like, its appearance in-game where it sort of replicates an Eclipse, and you have the big eyeball sticking out at the front of it, sort of similar to, like, Zero from Kirby's Dream Land 3. That's some cool freaking Pokemon, man. It looked so cool. Like, it looks very derpy like this, but it is extremely intimidating. Yeah, the vibe check is cool-ass Mega. The reason this guy's the final boss of the DLC. Yeah, no, you look awesome. I don't know if your gameplay will reflect that at all, but you are awesome, man. I think I have awesome Golurk. Golurk's stat spread disappoints me a little bit, because it doesn't gain any speed, and then you dump the 15 spat. And I feel like Golurk is the kind of mon you just slap Choice Band on and click Earthquake and No Guard, Poltergeist, and all that stuff. The bulk gain is good. In terms of ability, I don't really know what you give it. Maybe some damage, like, amplifying thing. Like, adaptability with these stabs would go stupid. So this mon's stabs are extremely hard to switch into. Does this Pokemon still learn Rock Polish in Gen 9? I don't quite remember. Maybe not. That's a shame. Would've been cool if it did. Golurk is a really cool Pokemon aesthetically, though. And I love the whole thing where it's sort of the Machamp kind of deal, where its true power is sealed in its body, and on the Mega Evolution form, it breaks out. It's sort of similar to the Chandelure thing, actually, where Golurk's eyes on the base form are, you know, they're yellow, right? Like, it looks like this, but then on the Mega it kind of breaks out, and then, like, one of them is empty. I think it's a cool little thing, and I love the purple aura. It kind of reminds me of a Doublade. Yeah, this mon has literal aura, by the way, with all the energy pouring out of it. It kind of has the Metagross deal with the big X, and the color scheme of Golurk is reminiscent of Metagross. It's just a very cool mon. It's very cool. I really hope it's good gameplay-wise to reflect that. Now, Meowstic Mega is very, very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. I love that it mixes the female and male Meowstic into one. Like, what do you call those cats? Calico? Is that the term for? No, Calico's different. No, Calico's like an orange kind of cat. I'm blanking on the word. There's a bunny that's like this too, where half of its face, it's a harlequin rabbit, where half of its body is one color and the other half is, it's like that, but there's cats like that too. It is aesthetically very pleasing. I'm very happy that its ears are sticking up and you can see the eyes on the ears like that, because it does, both Meowsticks do that, and their attack animations to have it permanently in that state is very cool. I like it levitating like this. I love the mix of tails. It is very pleasing aesthetically, and on a gameplay level, I love that we dump 60 into spat and 20 into speed to min-max it out and make it an offensive kind of mon. I think Psychic Surge would be like the best timeline for this, so it could abuse Expanding Force and be immune to priority given its physical bulk is not very good. It does have Nasty Plot, it has a lot of good coverage, the male has Prankster, Pre-Mega, the female has Competitive, those could potentially be useful. Yeah, very, very cool mega. Very happy with it. Probably one of my favorites in the DLC, like very, very subtly so. The kind of mega an ability makes me excited, because if it is a good ability, then we're cooking. And I really do hope it's a good ability, because the stats are just worse Delphox, and it doesn't have a fire stab to speak of, so if there's any Pokemon that I think deserves an ability as powerful as something like a Psychic Surge, it'd be Meowstic. And I think it would fit it aesthetically, given all the Pokedex entries about Esper kind of containing its power. So we got Crabominable, who is hilarious and also horrifying in-game. If I saw a crab, like, imagine being a crab and having these 4 legs and then you only use like 2 of them and then the others are just kind of hanging on there. It is a very scary Pokemon. Now, Fighting Ice is amazing offensively, and Crabominable gains a ludicrous amount of bulk, and it loses 10 more speed, so this is even better for Trick Room. That's pretty cool. Its attack goes up even more. Abominable base. Iron Fist is an ability that it does have a positive and it boosts Ice Hammer and it boosts Drain Punch. I understand that. But 20% boost is not that impressive, to be quite honest. So I think the ability is going to be what makes this very interesting, because it could be a bigger damage multiplier, or it could be just something to help it defensively speaking. Given the typing is pretty exploitable, and the book is really good, but I would show something more for that. In terms of the aesthetic, I think this is pretty much about perfect, because Crabominable, has very kind of goofy vibe, and it still retains that goofy vibe, but it's also very intimidating and scary in the way that it walks in game, where it kind of just like does the big gorilla thing of like putting its big claws on the ground and kind of just like pole vaulting itself forward. That's scary. It's really cool, but it's scary. Great vibe. Big fan. The Lysopod Mega is very interesting because it goes from Bug Water to Bug Steel, and both types are amazing for their own purposes. The big thing about this Pokemon is it depends what ability it gets, because functionally Wimp Out and Emergency Exit are the same thing. I would honestly be happy to retain that ability if you didn't lose your turn on the turn that you swap. That'd be okay by me. If we're doing a different ability on this thing, you could be boring and have Shell Armor, and that's functionally fine, but I feel like with a ball of stats like this, it wouldn't surprise me if Game Freak kind of just says, okay, this is a lot of numbers, we're going to keep Emergency Exit, that, or just make another renamed one a tier higher that maybe has some benefit to it. Like if it's a mix of Regenerator plus Emergency Exit, something like that. Obviously it wouldn't proc every time, that'd be really dumb if you just had this like bulky mon with 1 type weakness that just heals a third of its health every time it goes out automatically. But even if it was like a one-time effect, I think that'd be really cool. Moople's great, Stat Spread is great, insanely bulky, insanely strong. Bug Steel is just one of the best defensive typings in the game. Its Moople's excellent, you have Spikes and Swords Dance and a bunch of utility. The DLC also gave it U-Turn, so slow pivoting move of Mon that hits this hard and is bulk this good. I think this guy is going to be best friends with the Lomomola if the Lomomola is in the dex, because Bug Steel plus Water, Wish plus Flip Turn on a Mon this fat with a slow U-Turn. Best friends, match made in heaven. They be ooms for real. In terms of vibes, excellent. I will say the one thing I'll complain about is you see the contrast with the little green arrows on its body and its arms here. It's kind of hard to see that in game, which I don't think is the case with Golisopod because it's such a light color, but this is so much of a dark color, which is kind of a shame. I do like the darker purple and darker hues they chose on the whole for this thing, particularly these dark purple parts of its body are quite nice to look at. Yeah, really, really cool. Magearna is a Pokemon that didn't necessarily need a Mega. Aesthetically, I really like it. Gameplay-wise, what the hell? What are we doing? It does look very pretty. I love the design choice that the gear around its head becomes functionally like an install mode in a fighting game. It kind of just like levitates around it. I think this pose they chose for the art is awesome, by the way, to have it open its hand the way it does when it uses Flare Cannon. The gold color palette is really cool, still resembles a Pokeball. I've always liked Magearna, probably one of my favorite mythicals. So it getting a Mega is neat. Jumping 30 speed is a crime. It gains no bulk, but that doesn't matter because Fairy Steel is broken defensively. Magearna's bulk is broken. Gaining 40 on Spat and 30 on attack is dumb. Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Stored Power, Draining Kiss. I could spend like 10 minutes talking about Magearna's move pool alone. It is really good. It is very, very pretty. I don't know why there are two of them listed. Why are there two of them listed? I guess because Magearna technically has two forms, but it's really cool. Big fan of that. He got Zeraora, who everyone on Twitter was making fun of because his art before kind of looked lame, but this pose is much cooler. I do like the color contrast difference. Blues and blacks just naturally look good together, and the yellow, the lesser bits of yellow on this actually complement it quite nice. That spread is efficient. That's the best word. It's 45 on each offense and 10 speed. I've never felt a particular connection to Zeraora, and it's kind of hard to because it's a mythical Pokemon, and a lot of the time they don't really do much for that, and Zeraora is kind of just slapped in Gen 7. I kind of forget he's there most of the time, unless I'm actually playing a format where I'm seeing him or battling, because in-game he has literally negative presence. It's cool. Plasma Fist is good. In terms of ability, I don't really know, because Volt Absorb is cool, and Volt Absorb has cool synergies with Plasma Fist's secondary effect to make normal moves electric moves, like if a Pokemon slower than Zeraora tries to use Pain Split on base Zeraora with Volt Absorb after getting hit by Plasma Fist, it doesn't work. And it would heal Zeraora, I believe, is how that interaction would go, so that's pretty neat. I don't know if the Mega will retain anything like that, but it's a cool one. I don't feel very strongly for it. It's kind of just eye candy. It looks pretty. The gameplay is neat, I guess. Got a decent move pool. Bulk Up is neat. Blood Switch is cool. Grass Knot is cool. Close Combat is cool. But like when I look at them on again, it's just all gameplay. It's not really a connection in terms of in-game with it. Go Villain is a mon people like making fun of because it gains no speed, and it kind of gains. I mean, it's a slow mixed attacker, slow-ish mixed attacker. In terms of ability, I don't know what you get because even if it does retain Chlorophyll, this is not amazing. The bulk is still poor. The offenses are okay, but nothing earth-shattering. The stabs are good. Stabs are good, but I don't know, just aesthetically I like the sort of it's Go Villain. It has a super villain kind of vibe. I think the tie is hilarious, little like pepper tie. I like the how'd you say? I think the black upper body does a lot of the lifting on this for me. I like. It's also the sort of cresty headpiece things that get added is quite nice. I kind of, for some reason my head thinks Scovillain has these, but it's only the Mega that does, but no, base Scovillain's kind of bald. Actually looking at it. I like the spikes that it gains on his tail a lot. Aesthetically, I think it's really good. I just, in terms of gameplay, I don't see it right now. I think he's a good vibe, but yeah, I don't know. Terra's probably down here, honestly. Again, not that it matters, it really doesn't. So we're almost there. We got like 3 more to talk about. Lamora is my favorite Generation 9 Pokemon, for those of you who saw that other video. In terms of how I feel about the Mega. It's very pretty, it's very reminiscent of Glimmet. Because this body shape on the back is very Glimmet coated. The hilariously long proboscis looking thing is funny. I think having the big petals extend on the side of its body and sort of rotate around it is really cool. I love the animations where it kind of spins around, it has all the debris. In terms of gameplay, gaining a ton of attack is really weird and kind of a detriment. Like, what the heck is this, 35? Jumping 15 speed to 101 is excellent, the spat is cool, the bulk is cool. In terms of ability, I think it would be cool if it had, what's that one about? Merciless. Merciless is the ability that makes it so if the opposing Pokemon is poisoned, you would crit them. And I think that'd be really cool on this Pokemon, given it has Corrosion and Toxic Debris and Mortal Spin as its signature move, and Toxic Spikes, and yeah, I think Corrosion would make a lot of sense for this Pokemon, and I think that would be sort of the DPS buff it needs to justify this mega offensively, because Glimmera's base form is really strong while also retaining that utility and can always just do power meteor beam, so not being able to do that and then taking your mega slot, I think there should be a substantial DPS increase, and I think to do that and make it unique, I think Merciless is the route I would personally go with that. But aesthetically, it pleases me. It's not like my favorite thing ever, but it makes me happy that it exists, because I really do love Gamora. So I will say using it in-game in ZA was kind of a pain in the ass because I caught a shiny alpha and it is too goddamn big and it can't fit anywhere and it gets stuck on everything, and 9 out of 10 times I'm just clicking Earth Power just because it's a ranged attack that doesn't involve the mon getting near, because this thing gets stuck on everything because it is too big. Way too big of a mon. But it makes me happy that you exist aesthetically. You are Glimmera, so you're my Tatsugiri. The fact you exist from a gameplay level is really obnoxious, because Dondozo Tatsugiri is an extremely potent core, so the fact you can Mega Evolve is kind of wild. It actually gains bulk that, you know, it doesn't die in one hit, gaining 30 on each. 10 speed's good, 15 spat's good. It does get like Scald and stuff now, Flip Turn, Draco hits hard, Nasty Paw's neat. In terms of ability, I don't know, but honestly, I think it'd probably be better that this Mega isn't too good because of the fact it synergizes with Dondozo the way that it does. Aesthetically, 10 out of 10, fantastic. I adore the sushi plate being the little Mega Evolution symbol, and I like that for the form differences, they made it so the lead Tatsugiri is, you know, it's the real one, and the other ones are the fakes, and I think that the way they treated the shiny is amazing as well. Really, really good. Probably put it up here in favorites. Feels like there was a lot of attention put into details for it. Now, Excalibur Mega is pretty cool, because sort of similar to Scovillain, when I look at base Excalibur and then I look at the Mega, he looked kind of bald. His only the front of his face has the ice plating on it. Covering his whole head like this, like a helmet, looks much cleaner. I love the sword. I love the hilt of the sword being through his chest is raw. And sort of the ice-plated armor he gets with that too. Even the scales on his body, like maybe it's just this art, but kind of flat, like a flat color here, but here it looks kind of textured and shiny and shimmery. It looks very clean. In terms of gameplay, I wouldn't be surprised if Basic Excalibur is kind of better. Because these are good games, don't get me wrong, but having an item slot, you know, like loaded dice, scale shot, or heavy duty boots, or choice band, however you run it, might be more valuable, because ability-wise, I feel like you just retained Thermal Exchange. I feel like it's a great ability for it, and it just makes sense, and it's really, really good on the mons. I don't think it would get anything unique, honestly. In terms of ability for Tatsugiri, I forgot to mention. I don't know, actually. I don't have a good idea for it. I could see it being like some either DPS buff or have something to do with like, not like mimicry, not like disguise, but something in a similar vein if it is a unique ability. Alternatively, just give it adaptability, call it a day, and then it just gets hard with Draco and Surf and all that stuff. That's always feasible. I think that would make sense for the mon too, the way that it plays. Yeah, Megaback's very freaking cool. Very, very cool. And yeah, that's how I feel about all the ZA Megas. I probably forgot some details about some of them, but to be fair, there's like 50 of these dudes. Am I hating on these 3 in particular? Not really. Like put there. Nah, realistically, these can all go here. It's probably just the bottom. I think every Mega is great in this game. I'm very happy that this game happened. It fills me with joy, and I want to talk about the game itself more sometime. But today was purely the keen rambles about Pokemon and Megas and all that stuff, because they really like all of them, and they're really, really cool. Very, very neat. Hope you had fun. Hope you enjoyed if you're just listening in the background. I appreciate it greatly if you do, because this has been almost an hour and a half. Subscribe if you want more videos, and let me know your favorite Mega Evolution from ZA and why. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been keen. Have a good one.